Hi, and thank you for watching Team Three's marketing communication campaign proposal for COVID-19 vaccines. My name is Jan, and also on Team Three is Abby and Nathan. First, we will brief our proposal and the consumer behavior marketing strategy that we've been working on for the duration of this course. Then we will discuss our target audience's demographic and psychographic profiles. We will also identify how innovation theory applies to vaccine use. And lastly, we will justify our final recommendation by referencing our previous research about behavioral intentions in accordance with attitude models and the consumer decision-making model for COVID-19 vaccinations.
So our proposal for this campaign is to increase awareness about the safety of the COVID-19 vaccine. And our intent is to ease skepticism over getting the vaccine to increase vaccination rates in America. Ultimately, the goal of the marketing campaign is to get more people vaccinated in the United States. And the campaign will primarily run on social media, where much of the skepticism is taking place. And this is going to be a domestically run campaign in hopes to get herd immunity. Elterman states, experts estimate that between 70 and 90% of the community will need to be immunized against the virus to achieve herd immunity, although the exact number is not known. So the goal would be to at least get over 70% of Americans to be vaccinated. Looking at demographic profiles helps us understand who and who is not getting vaccinated in America, and then who needs to be targeted by the campaign. These graphs showcase a gender comparison of who is getting vaccinated in America. Females are outpacing men in getting vaccinated. This showcases that men need to be especially targeted, and most vaccine holdout for men comes from African American and conservative men. Gergely says only 46% of Republicans already had been vaccinated or were intended in getting vaccinated, compared to 79% of Democrats and 57% of independents. This survey found that 25 to 29% of self-identified Republicans said they would refuse to get the vaccine. Still, the numbers for vaccine willingness and enthusiasm appears to be gradually increasing among people's groups. Hesitancy can come from social interactions with others within people's social groups and from opinion leaders they look up to. This can lead to completely different information given to different groups of people regarding the COVID-19 vaccine. So the goal of the campaign would be to give people similar messaging so that they can all get accurate information and combat misinformation. Next is the group of people getting vaccinated in terms of race and ethnicity. The following graphs take the total population of a particular race or ethnicity and calculate the percentage of people within that race or ethnicity who have received one dose of the vaccine, and then also calculate the percentage of those who are fully vaxxed compared to the total population. As the graphs show, there are differences among races on vaccine rates. American Indians and Alaska Natives are the highest vaccinated group based off of race and ethnicity in America. They are followed by Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander community, and then the Asian community. Hispanic people make up the next demographic on the list of their total population versus the population getting vaccinated. However, the amount of fully vaccinated people falls below the amount of fully vaccinated people in the white community. This could showcase a problem within the community in going and getting the second dose when they are not getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and should be a feature addressed in the marketing to help encourage them to go back and get that second dose. Next on the list is white people in America, followed by Black people in America. Black people have the lowest vaccination rates in America. This is partly due to mistrust of the healthcare system, but also racial disparities within it. Rendell gives a positive statistic on the Black community and the Hispanic community. According to data reported by the Kaiser Family Foundation, Vaccination rates among Black and Hispanic people increased from August 2nd through August 16th, helping narrow the gap in vaccine disparity and suggesting that community-based motivation, like from the Black Coalition Against COVID-19, helps gain people's trust. The last graph that I'm going to showcase is the percent of people receiving the vaccine by age demographics. These graphs showcase the amount of people in America who have received the vaccine and breaks the statistics down into age ranges. As the age groups increase in age, the percentage of the total population who has received one dose or has been fully vaccinated increases. The only anomaly is the pattern is in the 75 plus category. They have slightly lower percentage of the total age group vaccinated than the 65 to 74-year-old age group. This showcases a need as a whole to get people that are younger to get vaccinated. Younger Americans need to help reach that herd immunity and shut down much of the dangers of the virus. Rendell says younger adults age 18 to 29 are also more likely to give a hard no to the vaccine, as are adults living in rural areas. Younger Americans need to be targeted on social media where hesitancy spreads, and so does misinformation, with accurate information on the vaccine to help encourage them to get vaccinated. Now I'm going to send it off to Jan for her portion of the project.
This section of our presentation identifies who chooses to decline the COVID-19 vaccine through demographic characteristics like race, income, or gender, and then we compare it to the psychographic profiles like values and personalities. So as you can see on this first slide, we show the result of a study conducted by the Ad Council in 2021. And it's basically a snapshot. We can see the distribution of the willingness to receive COVID-19 vaccines by race and ethnicity categories. And so this chart further builds on what Nathan mentioned earlier. This next chart then further expands on that argument on the different demographic profiles like race and ethnicity, but it adds in their gender as well as economic status and things of that nature. And it compares it to possible psychographic characteristics such as trust in government and their experiences with COVID-19. And this information aligns with another study that was published in the Frontiers Public Health Journal, where researchers surveyed people in New York, Miami, and San Francisco. And from this research, it yielded that 13% indicated they would not be willing to be vaccinated at all. Vaccine avoiders were most likely to be Black or African American, younger, in like the 18 to 29 years old age group, have lower education levels as well as income levels. They also were more likely to ignore COVID-19 news and be less satisfied with their health and their access to healthcare. And this is because people who are dissatisfied with their health or access to healthcare may possess an existing bias from previous experiences of discrimination from healthcare services. Now moving more into the realm of the psychographic profile, the following themes emerged during our literature review on the left-hand side. Demographics aside, people who were vaccine hesitant possessed a high concern for the vaccine safety and potential side effects. They possessed high skepticism about the vaccine's development in the lab and possessed low trust in government processes or even political figures. Distrust in the government may be correlated to demographic characteristics like race, religion, or political party affiliation, but they weren't significant in accordance to this study where this information comes from. And then on the right-hand side, it shows personality. And so a study by Murphy and others surveyed approximately 3,000 subjects from the UK and Ireland who identified as vaccine hesitant. And then they asked these people who identified as vaccine hesitant to take the Ocean personality test, also known as the Big Five personality test. And they found that people who were vaccine hesitant tended to score high in skepticism, of course, low in conscientiousness, low in agreeableness, and high in internal locus of control. And so I want to explain a couple of these scores, because just because someone may score low in something, it doesn't mean it's bad or negative. It just means that they're on the opposite end of the spectrum. People who have low conscientiousness tend to view rules and regulations as restrictive, limiting, and confining, which explains vaccine hesitant people's desire for high locus of control. And then people who score low in agreeableness tend to not have a problem with confrontation. They can be perceived as being assertive or competitive, and they tend to thrive in those type of social environments. Demographic and psychographic profiles further justify our proposed communication campaign, because of the campaign's ability to reach a wide range of consumers using a preferred method of information distribution, especially for the younger age groups who tend to use social media very often. And we will relate the knowledge to their level of understanding by speaking to their values and their concerns. Plus, using digital media as a platform has the added advantage of documenting multiple dialogues about the topic. We could track things like the likes or shares, as well as the ability for whatever company decides to adopt our approach to respond to specific concerns on the platform. So it gives businesses the ability to view real-time consumer reactions to the advertisement.
Now we're going to go over the innovation implication. So vaccinations aren't a new concept and have been around since 1798 with the development of the smallpox vaccine. With that being said, the COVID-19 vaccine isn't an innovative product as a whole, but is innovative to the global pandemic. As stated in our textbook, the ability to develop successful new products is critical to a company's sales, future growth, and long-term survival potential. In our case, the development of the COVID-19 vaccine was critical to saving lives. The COVID-19 vaccine is classified as a functional innovation based on its functional benefits that are better or differ from that of alternatives. Next slide. This graph shows the adoption rate of the COVID-19 vaccination, and it shows that the adoption rate is roughly 55%, which leaves 45% of the US population resistant to the vaccine. This is an estimation based off the current number of individuals that are fully vaccinated, and that means that they've received 1 dose of Johnson & Johnson or received 2 doses of Pfizer or Moderna. There are some individuals who are only partially vaccinated, but since they aren't fully vaccinated, they are being categorized as resistant to the vaccine. Based on this information, our campaign goal is to convince the adopter groups identified as late majority and laggards to receive the vaccine. The late majority group are more resistant to change and typically accept an innovation once it has been tried and tested by the majority. As stated by Lamort, strategies to appeal to this population include information on how many other people have tried the innovation and have adopted it successfully. Laggards, on the other hand, are much more skeptical of change and are often more conservative than other adopter groups. Lamort believes that strategies to appeal to this population include statistics, fear appeals, and pressure from people in the other adopter groups. Next slide. The CDC has been keeping track of the number of doses administered daily. This graph shows the trajectory of diffusion of the COVID-19 vaccine. As you can see, between March and May of this year, we saw a jump in the number of vaccines administered. Then there's been a steady incline from May to October 2021. Next slide. Our research has led us to developing a campaign that focuses on reducing vaccine hesitancy while simultaneously increasing the number of individuals vaccinated in order to establish herd immunity. As discovered in our Section 2 research about our target audience, anti-vaccine individuals can belong to a couple of different groups. Some who have had negative experiences with the US medical field, Black and Latinx Americans in particular, and a second group that perceive the vaccine as risky and are concerned about side effects. We want to focus on social media since this is where a majority of misinformation about the COVID-19 vaccine is being disseminated. By utilizing social media platforms to educate and inform individuals, we can create a memory that can later be recalled. The type of memory that consumers should employ to remember and access facts about the COVID-19 vaccine are working memory and long-term memory, specifically episodic memory and semantic memory. Using influencers to build trust with the COVID-19 vaccine is another piece of the campaign development. Matthew says, consumers are becoming increasingly skeptical of brands and their marketing tactics, and building trust is crucial. Advertising through influencers allows brands to promote through someone that a niche community watches, engages with, and trusts on a daily basis. Needs of people who consider receiving the COVID-19 vaccine are safety, self-actualization, social, and egotistic. By tailoring our campaign to focus on each of these needs, we are able to reach the attention of the target audience and potentially shift their mindset. Next slide. Based on research done by the Ad Council, the attitudes toward the COVID-19 vaccine are more on the positive side than the negative side, but the job of our campaign will be to change those negative attitudes into positive. Most people believe they can protect others by getting the vaccine, so utilizing this in some of our campaign messaging will prove successful. Overall, we want our campaign to reach as many people as possible in order to accommodate our target audience. And next are our references. And thank you. That is Group 3's presentation.